What's going on, guys? It's Jeremy. We're out in the woods, and today we're going to be talking about 6 winter tips for the field environment. So I'm out in the woods today, and I'm just testing a few new pieces of gear that I've got. I've got this new breakdown camp stove that I've had for about a month and a half now, but I've never actually used it because normally when I go to the woods or we do some sort of training event with my local guys, we just make a big fire, and I never really use this one. But since it's snowed out, I really wanted to utilize this because this goes into a talking point later. I have this new Rothko cold weather jacket that I wanted to test out, see how warm it was, and you know what was the Gore-Tex really like, what was the quality like. So just kind of wanted to come out and test some stuff, and I figured this was a good time to talk about some winter tips and some talking points for those guys that haven't really done a lot in the winter before, or guys that are new to this, whatever it may be, whether you're from just the civilian preparedness side, whether you're more on like the Minuteman side, the mag side, wherever you may find yourself, backpacker, gunslinger, whatever it is. Hopefully you find these tips helpful. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my notes out. Always have note-taking gear with you. Gonna be making a cup of hot chocolate here, so I'll probably stop a few times throughout this video and put some wood on this fire. I'm gonna take my gloves off. Nice thing about this camp stove is it most definitely works. However, you've got to constantly feed it because it's not very big, and you have to just constantly put stuff into it. Put my wrapper in there from my fire starter earlier. So, winter tips. Obviously, we know that operating in cold weather, winter environments is a lot more difficult and a lot different than warm weather environments. For a lot of people in the United States, if you're watching this from the United States, a lot of our winters are completely different. Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio's winters are much different than Wyoming and Montana or anywhere in the PNW's winter. Texas's winter is different than Maine and New Hampshire's winter and all that kind of stuff. So these tips are rather general. I didn't make it specific to what type of level of winter you're really dealing with. Last night we got about 3 inches of snow, so for us southern guys, it's kind of like, oh cool, that's awesome, we got 3 inches of snow. But to the more northern group, it's like, that's nothing. Let me fix this real quick. Don't need my my boiling water to tip over. So tip number 1, and this goes to water. A lot of guys have camelbacks on the back of their plate carriers, or they keep like the bladders in the back of their packs, whether it's a hiking pack, whether it's your assault pack, whether it's your bug out bag, whatever it may be. Camelbacks don't work during the winter. There's no type of insulation to any extent, and your camelbacks are going to freeze up, and you're going to have no way to get your water out of your pack. So for winter environments, your camelbacks are a no-go. You're going to have to use something like one of those stainless steel bottles, or I've heard a lot of people say that the normal water bottles, the thicker ones, the name is escaping me at the moment. Those types of things work. Like the name is escaping me. I'll remember here in a minute. Regardless, your camelbacks aren't going to work for water. You need something that's going to prevent your water from freezing for as long as possible. And normally for me, your standard GI canteens, or like a stainless steel bottle from like the canteens, or bottles from like Pathfinder and stuff like that. Normally that kind of stuff is what won't freeze in the wintertime environment. Number 2, understand when to wear your layers. So depending on how cold it is outside, what the wind is like, things like that will determine what kind of layers you want to wear. If it's nighttime and you're just kind of standing around on watch or something like that, you're going to want to wear a lot of underlayers. If you're out doing things during the day, whether you're collecting firewood, whether you're on a patrol, whatever it may be, you're not going to want to wear your underlayers as much. The Army has this new number system. I guess it's really not new, to break down the different levels of, winter clothes, the layers. But we're just going to talk about 3 of them. So you have your base layers, your middle layers, and your outer layers. Your base layers are your long underwear, your polypros, your sweatpants or something like that. If you wear something like that underneath your pants, those are your base layers, things that stay closest to your body. Then you have your middle layers. That's your civilian clothing, or like right now, I'm wearing just normal GI BDUs underneath of my outer layer. That is your middle layer. Your normal uniform, we'll call it, or attire. Then you have your outer layer. That's, additional sweat tops, Gore-Texes, your marshmallow suits, that thicker outer stuff. So for right now, I'm wearing a pair of GI Gore-Tex Woodland pants. This is not thick at all. I utilize these for just rain as well. And then I'm wearing the new, this new jacket I got, the Rothko, like Special Operations Gore-Tex jacket. Pretty warm. Soft on the inside, Gore-Tex on the outside. And then out of that, I'm just wearing my normal BDUs with a sweat top. I don't have anything on my legs. I just have a standard pair of wool socks on, and I have my beanie on. So when it comes to, wearing different layers, think about your activity. Am I going to be up and moving around a lot? If you are, you're not going to want a lot of base layers because you're going to get sweaty. And then once you stop moving, you're going to get cold, and your base layers are no good to you because they're wet. If you're standing around at night on, fire watch or whatever that may be for camp or whatever environment you find yourself in, you're going to want to layer up a little bit more because you're not going to be moving, your blood's not going to be flowing, you're not going to be getting that sweat. Another big thing I see guys doing, both when I was in the Marine Corps and in the civilian side, is they wear their warming layers into the day. So if you wake up early in the morning from camp or the FOB or wherever you are, a lot of guys leave their thick base layers on through breakfast and into the morning, and we start activities. And then a couple hours into the day, they're like, holy crap, I'm so hot, I'm sweating, even though it's still technically cold outside. So you want your body to readjust to the temperatures that you're facing. You don't want to wear your base layers all day, and then when the temperature drops at night, you have no additional layers of clothing to put on. So know when to use your layers. I think we've hit on that topic enough. Snow leaves tracks. So with the snow, specifically guys that are in the more northern environments, your activity in the snow pretty much tells a lot about you. Whether you're on a patrol, whether you're just setting up camp specifically, you make a lot of tracks. You leave tracks all over camp as you walk around, whether it's a patrol base, whether it's your bug out spot, whatever it may be. You leave a lot of signs of activity. Tip for when you're patrolling, if you're doing some sort of security patrol or whatever it may be, whatever you find yourself doing, whether you're hiking with friends, whatever you're doing, walk in the person's tracks in front of you. Don't create 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of tracks as you're patrolling. If you have to go ranger file and just single file it, or do columns. Don't spread out and do wedges and big spread out formations. So be aware of the activity you're leaving behind when there is snow specifically. Even just this spot from walking around, I've got about 100 footprints from walking around collecting wood and then making this stuff. Number 4, get warm before bed. So I know a lot of guys that think going to bed will make me warm. I take off all my work clothes or my uniform or whatever it may be. I put on some sweats, I get in my sleeping bag, and now I'm going to be warm. When that is not true at all. You want to get warm before you get into your tent or your shelter or your sleeping bag, whatever you're using. Do some jumping jacks, chop some wood, do whatever it is, get your body heat up, and then get into your tent or get into your sleeping bag under your lean-to tarp or whatever it is, and let that heat radiate off of the different things that you're surrounded by. If you're in a tent and you get into your tent warm or whatever, you take off all your outer layers, you get in your sleeping bag, now all that warm air is going to be trapped within that tent. You're going to kind of, you know, radiate that warm air within you. Same thing with a sleeping bag, even if you're in a lean-to. You know, you get into that sleeping bag and all that warm air from your chest down that's probably in your sleeping bag is going to kind of stay trapped inside that sleeping bag, and it's going to keep you warm. Nobody likes going to bed cold. Nobody likes waking up cold. Nobody likes being up all night because they were cold and didn't get any sleep. So try to be warm before you go to bed. Fire discipline, specifically in the winter. A lot of guys want to make these big fires, and this all depends on your environment. If you're not in some sort of tactical or security type environment, you're not expecting any type of like enemy contact or something like that. Say you're just a hiker, or you're a guy that's bugging out, whatever it may be. You may not have to worry about that as much. But this kind of goes for more of like the Minuteman, the MAG groups, you know, those kind of guys. Fire discipline. A lot of guys want to make really big fire, and though fire gives away your position sight-wise, you aren't aware a lot of times how much smell your fire puts off. So even if you're deep into the tree line, you know, you're not on the edge where people can easily see you, people could smell that smoke. So for wintertime stuff, depend on your warming layers a lot to keep you warm. And if you have to cook, which a lot of people have to do with water, you know, consider doing small camp stoves like these little breakdown camp stoves. This is like 5 or 6 ounces, and it breaks down into like the size of a piece of cardboard. And then I just collect dry sticks and whatnot. I put a little fire starter in there, and now I boil my water. So have fire discipline, you know, be aware of your surroundings, and, you know, what is your fire telling people potentially in the surrounding area. Number 6, take care of your gear. This is probably the biggest part, especially after all these different cold weather gear videos have come out on weapons and gear and all that kind of stuff. Keep your gear dry in the wintertime, or just in general. You know, you want to take care of your weapon. You want to keep your gear out of the snow and off the ground. You know, if you look behind me here, I have my pack hanging on, you know, this little clip of a branch here, so my bag's not resting on the ground. You can take a piece of 550 cord, grab a stick, tie it off, and make a hanger hook on a tree if you need to. But, you know, keep everything as dry as possible, from your gear, from your feet to your weapon, whatever that may be. Take care of everything while you're in the field environment, because you may not have the resources or the ability to fix things once it goes bad. You want to deter rust. You want to deter your ammo getting wet, your gear getting wet. Nobody wants to wear wet gear. You know, if you come back from a patrol or something like that, and all your stuff's wet, hang it up near a fire. Hang it up in general. Do something. There's a squirrel. Wish I had my 22. Take care of your gear. Obviously, there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to, you know, doing things in cold weather and snow in winter environments. These are just a few things that I thought about when I was thinking about coming out here and testing this gear. I was like, I might as well make a YouTube video out of it. So hopefully you've gained something from this video. If you are not used to doing things in cold weather in the snow, I definitely suggest you go out there and, you know, test your gear and test yourself and see what you're capable of. Can you build a fire in the snow? Can you, does your warming layers actually work, and does it keep you warm? You know, whatever it may be, go out, train, test your stuff. You never know when the power's gonna get shut off, and it's February, and now you have to deal with cold. So that's all I've got, guys. As always, train hard, train often.